And welcome to another Cardinals Nest. This is the sports show where we talk St. Mary's University athletics. I'm the Cardinals faculty athletics representative, Dean Beckman. My co-host is Donny Nadeau, our sports information director. And we are coming to you from the Jerry and Pat Pappenfuss Multimedia Lab here in Aquinas Hall on the campus of St. Mary's University. Our producer is A.J. Ruskowski. Donny, great to be back for another episode. And we are looking forward to our Cardinal Excellence Fund Hall of Fame dinner and reception that we're going to have at the Visions Event Center. That will be on March 11th, and that's going to serve as our interview guests for the next several weeks as well. We won't have an in-person studio guest. We're going to be interviewing some of our Hall of Famers over Zoom, and later on in this episode, we'll be bringing in Bruna Bucciarelli as our first Hall of Fame inductee guest. So, Donny, we're looking forward to it.
It is, and it's a great time, when we get to promote people who have excelled in athletics here at St. Mary's, and we've got a great list of 5 inductees this year, and so it's going to be fun to just kind of highlight them over the next 4 or 5 weeks, and just kind of get a little background on their experience as they were here at St. Mary's, and then what they're doing now. So,
yep. And a reminder, I am sitting here right now with a St. Mary's Hall of Famer, so an honor to do so. So we'll get to that a little bit later on in the show, but first we want to recap this past week in St. Mary's athletics. Saturday was one of the best days for sports on campus in some time, Donny, and we got to talk about the men's hockey team. They are at an even 6-6-0 in the conference, 10-10-1 on the season. But their Saturday night win over St. John's, a 7-3 victory, not only was it exciting, that win single-handedly really kept them and will keep them into the playoff hunt for the final spot in the MIAC playoff standings until the end of the season.
Yeah, and the thing that really impressed me about Saturday was they were coming off a 2-0 loss to the Johnnies on Thursday in the first game of their series, and every game is so important as we start getting into, there's 4 games left in the regular season. You're pushing for a spot in the playoffs, and you drop that first game of a series against the second place team in the conference. Very easily could have just rolled over and said, okay, we're done. And instead, they did the exact opposite. And that might have been one of the best overall performances I've seen out of them in several years. I mean, to score 7 goals against a team as good as St. John's was really encouraging, and I think as they head into this week with St. Scholastica, that's going to be a great boost heading into 2 games against the league leader.
Yeah, not only the league leader, they haven't lost a game yet in the conference.
Right.
So they're due, maybe?
Maybe.
We'll see. But, the Cardinals also kind of battling it out with Concordia a little bit for that final playoff spot. They've got Gustavus this weekend, but then, and we don't want to look too far ahead, that last regular season matchup is against Concordia. Both of those games, Friday and Saturday, will be right here in Winona.
Yeah, and it's going to be, you don't like to look ahead, but, I think as funny as it sounds at them being 6-6 in the conference, I think they're right where they want to be. I've always said, and I've talked to Coach Egan about, if you can finish 8-8 and, be at 500 in the conference, you have a shot at making the playoffs. And if they can go into that last weekend of the season sitting at 7-7 after 2 games with Scholastica, 2 games at home against Concordia, I'd like our chances. And so, I think what's really encouraging is they score 7 goals. They've got 7 different people that scored goals. So, that's always important, is no team can focus on one line or one player. They've got to figure out how to stop our whole team, and that's very encouraging.
That last goal by Loudon Polinger, I don't know how the net stopped it. That thing had to be moving 100 miles an hour. It was a rocket.
It was one of those games, too. It was one of those games where just everything clicked. And it's neat to see that happen, because you get other games where, it feels like you can't. Well, even Thursday, they played very well on Thursday and came up empty in losing 2-0. So it's nice to see that they were able to put that game behind them and focus on Saturday's game, and really great turnout of fans, and they honored another one of our inductees in Mark Staub. The team had a little alumni gathering, and they put on a great show for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to make our producer blush, but A.J. Ruskowski, the last several weeks now, has played outstanding goaltending, keeping the Cardinals in all of the games, giving them a chance to win.
No question. And I think that it's, you think about it, A.J. got put into a spot where he got to show what he could do, and I think he's taking advantage of that, and that's what you want. You want a goalie who says, hey, put me in there and let me go, and he's helping get them where they're at right now, and that's that's in the hunt for the playoffs.
Yep. Let's turn things over now to women's hockey, and Donnie, they're 3-10-1 in the conference, 6-14-1 overall, and the bad luck just kind of keeps on hitting, and it's been a theme we've talked about on this show, but 2 of their last 3 games have gone to overtime. They won one of them against Bethel 2-1, and then lost twice to the College of St. Benedict, both close games. St. Ben scored 3 goals in both games, and the Cardinals just couldn't get over the 2-goal hump there.
We've talked, like you said, we've talked about it just about every show this year with them. Is offense has been struggling. They scored 3 goals in 2 games against St. Ben's, and when you do that, it's going to be tough to win games. And right now, it's not that they're not creating chances. They outshot the Bennies in Friday night's game and still came up with a 3-1 loss, and then did the same thing on Saturday. They had a 2-goal lead and gave up 3 unanswered goals, including the game we're in overtime. So it's not that they're not in games. It's just that they can't get over that hump of one, getting enough goals. I mean, 1 goal in the 3-1 loss is tough, and then when you go up 2-0 in the first period, and then that's it, and your offense kind of stalls. It's tough to play that way, and I think they've just got to keep battling. I still think that they mathematically have a shot, and why not play like you have a shot? And they've got 4 games left in the conference, and there's a lot of points there. And they just need to start taking care of business.
Yeah, and they have some good offensive players, Sidney Polzine, Cass Kingston, several others. The bounces just aren't going their way right now. Eventually they will, and if they can get hot down the stretch here, who knows?
And that's the thing. And I mentioned it with the guys when on Thursday they came up empty, and then all of a sudden they score 7. That's what the women need right now. Is they need that game where things start to click for them, and the bounces kind of go their way. And I think that would certainly help and get them turned around in the right direction.
All right, let's go to basketball now, and there are 2 St. Mary's University Offensive Players of the Week in the MIAC. Brooklyn Paulson on the men's side, but Donnie, will start with men's basketball as Raheem Anthony yet again gets another award. He's chalking those up this year.
Yeah, and it's so deserving. I mean, the guy had 26.5 points and 9 rebounds a game in 3 games last week, including the craziest ending to a game I've seen against Hamlin, and or against St. Olaf, and so I mean he deserved it, and I think that what I really appreciate with the MIAC this year in terms of giving out their weekly awards is they're not looking at Raheem going, hey, you've already won it 3 times, we're going to give it to somebody else. Raheem earned it. Raheem gets it, and that's the way it should be. And so he's got 4 of them now in the year of 2023. So good for him.
Well, and I can't tell you how many people I told St. Mary's won on a 4-point play with 4 seconds left. That was the St. Olaf game you were referencing, and people looked at me like, what are you talking, a 4-point play? I mean, you just don't see one that often.
I've seen them happen before, but not with 4 seconds to play and down by 3.
Right.
And it's like all Olaf had to really do is let Raheem shoot.
Yeah.
And he makes it, and it goes into overtime, tied at 65. Instead they foul him, and we talked about it at the last show. Is he's really done a much better job this year from the free throw line, and that's. That was a clutch. That's as clutch as you get. Sure, you could make a half-court shot to win a game, and that's pretty impressive. But to make a 3-pointer and then with the game tied, and knowing that this is it, and he knocks down that free throw. That's what was impressive to me about that. But a 4-point play to win it is. That this team, I hope Coach Fano has high blood pressure pills, or I don't know if he's using hair coloring to keep the gray out. But it's been 1 point or 3-point or 1 possession game after another for them this year, and it's nice to see them come away with some of those wins in those tight spots. As you get closer to playoffs, that's going to be very key, because I can guarantee you every game in the postseason is going to be a 1 possession game right down to the buzzer. So they're in a lot of them, and they know what to expect. So it can work out certainly as a positive.
Yeah. Joe's young enough; he doesn't need hair coloring yet.
Yes.
Yet, Joe.
I tell you what,
It'll
the Cardinals
come.
keep doing what they're doing. He's going to need it.
He may need it
real soon.
So right now, 9-7 in the conference, 13-8 overall. Still 4 games left in the conference. So they're sitting good right now, sitting in a playoff spot. It can go either direction though very quickly. They got to keep playing well.
I think that yes, it can definitely go south if they don't do what they're supposed to do. But they are in a great position to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think what they're focusing on is they'd love to get in one of those top 4 spots so they can host the first round. And there's no reason they couldn't finish anywhere from 6-2.
Yeah.
And so I mean there's 4 games left and they mean a lot. So it's going to be an interesting run over these last 4 games.
Yeah. On the women's side of things, I was interviewing Coach Foley on the webcast after Saturday's game, and one of the things I said is, your team is playing its best basketball of the season right now, and it's starting to show in the win-loss column. They're really playing good basketball. Brooklyn Paulson, the MIAC Offensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, and it was good to see her get recognized for her performance. She's really been playing extremely well, and I think that they are playing really good right now. And the key for them too is they've got to keep it going. They've got some big games ahead of them, and they've got to continue to improve with each outing. And right now that's what they're doing. They're playing good basketball, and it's obvious they took some lumps at the beginning of the year, but I think they've kind of learned from those and are this second time through the conference schedule are really playing much better basketball.
Yeah. A few other sports underway, track and field. The indoor season is going on. They're about, 3 meets in now to the indoor season, and they just got back from my old stomping grounds, Donnie, Decorah, Iowa, and the Luther Invitational.
Yeah, and they had 21 top 10 finishes. They had 4 first-place finishes, Samantha Kubis and Emily Kern on the women's side, and then Chris Bolwa and Aiden Gatz on the men's side all picked up first-place finishes. So it's funny you say there were only 3 meets in. They've only got 2 more before the conference indoor. So the indoor season is really short and quick, but really like what I'm seeing from our athletes, and I really think that when we start talking about the conference championships, there's going to be a lot of St. Mary's people up near the top in a lot of different events. So that's really exciting, and I know that Samantha's had a great indoor season in the weight throw and shot put, and I really think that she has a great chance of being at least top 3 in both in the conference.
Yeah. In tennis, Donnie, a couple of weekends ago, the women took care of Martin Luther with a 9-0 win there. This past weekend, the men in action, they had a win Saturday and a really, really, really close loss, 5-4 on Sunday.
Yeah, they go to Green Bay every year and they play 3 matches. So they played Lawrence and Ripon on Saturday and really took care of business. They beat Lawrence 9-0 and Ripon 8-1, and then they turned around and they played St. Norbert on Sunday and came out a 5-4 loss. But and it's easy to say it was so close we could have used a break, but in the singles, 3 of the 4 matches went to a third set, and then in the clinching match, St. Norbert won the third set 12-10. So I mean it was a marathon battle, and unfortunately we came out on the wrong end of it. But Coach Hallberg's very happy with the way both teams are playing. Obviously the women have only played the 1 match, so he's excited about what he's seeing, and hopefully they can keep it rolling as we move forward.
Yep. And as we move forward this spring, we'll give a little more attention to those sports, tennis, track and field. They've still got a little ways to go here in the seasons. Coming up next, we're going to be bringing in Bruna Bucciarelli. She's going to be the first of many Hall of Fame inductees that we'll be interviewing over Zoom, pre-recorded here on the Cardinals Nest. So that's coming up next. But before we get to that, Donnie, let's take a look at the week ahead in St. Mary's athletics. And we're back now with Bruna Bucciarelli. Bruna is one of the Hall of Fame inductees into this year's St. Mary's University Hall of Fame. That ceremony will be held on March 11th at Visions Event Center. And Donnie, that's part of our overall kind of fundraiser unit for St. Mary's University. It's really going to be a nice ceremony there on March 11th. And we're going to have 5 different inductees into the Hall of Fame this year. Yeah. So Bruna Bucciarelli, thank you so much for joining us via Zoom here on the Cardinals Nest.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, Bruna, let me be the first to congratulate you and welcome you to the St. Mary's Sports Hall of Fame. When you got the call from Brian, just kind of tell me what your reaction was to being notified that you're going into the Hall of Fame.
Well, it was a surprise. Let me tell you, because I guess I wasn't expecting it, and I always thought of Hall of Fame as someone who has made like 100 points in a game or something like that, and that certainly was not me, but it was, I feel honored, and I'm glad the women's athletics is being honored, and the people that initiated or began or were in the initial stages of women's athletics programs. I'm glad they're being honored, and I'm honored that they chose me to be the representative of such a big and important movement in society and in women's in women as in general.
With it, go ahead, Dean.
Well, I was going to say, Bruna, you maybe didn't score 100 points in a game, but you still had some significant achievements here. As I was reading over your bio, of course, you graduated from St. Mary's here in 1976, and you were a three-sport standout athlete. We're talking women's basketball, cross country, and volleyball. In my time here, and I've been at St. Mary's 21 years now, I have never seen anybody excel in 3 sports before. I've seen it in 2 sports, but not necessarily in 3 like that. And in 3 like totally different sports too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
With the Bruna, with the the anniversary of Title IX and 50 years of Title IX, can you just talk to us a little bit about what sports were like back when you were at St. Mary's? Because I'm sure it was extremely different than what we're used to today in terms of women's sports.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how it is today. I think it's more, much more organized. But I think at that time, if I recall correctly, when a call went out and say, "Hey, anybody who wants to try out for the basketball team," and so there was a bunch of us that said, "Oh, sure, why not?" And the coaches that we had, that was really interesting because at the time you don't notice these things. But the coaches, the 2 women coaches that we had initially were actually seniors at Winona State. And I can't remember their names or what their major was, but I thought that was really interesting because the 2 women coaches that we had were only probably a year older than some of us. And you don't see that now.
Right.
But at the time, there was nothing available. And I really have to hand it to the brothers at St. Mary's because, first of all, the Christian Brothers, all male. And by the time I got to St. Mary's, I believe St. Mary's went co-ed in 1969. And so I arrived in 1973. So basically, the Christian Brothers an all-male organization who ran the school, really put out a lot to welcome this new women's movement, I guess, in athletics. And so it just appeared that there was nothing different. We just played and, play the games and that was, it was like, it wasn't anything new. It just was so normal to all of us.
So at the time, and of course, this year we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX. At the time, did you really consider yourself a trailblazer or anything, or sort of even envision what women's athletics could become over in obviously what it is today now?
Yeah, I guess I didn't, because, at 18 or 19 years of age, I can't say I knew what the impact of Title IX was having on me or on society as a whole. Personally, I just knew that I was going away to college, and I was doing things I had never done before. So I guess I looked at it as just becoming more independent. I didn't notice Title IX as more of a movement. I did not notice that at the time. It was just all of a sudden things were open to me, and I didn't know, or I just realized that, oh, I'm just going away to school. This is what it feels like to go away to school.
How did you choose St. Mary's?
Well, that's interesting, because it was for the biology program. And when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to go on a canoe trip to Quetico Provincial Park. And the 2 weeks in the wilderness really changed my life, because it was then that I realized, oh yeah, I want to go to college and I want to major in biology. So that was it. And so when I went back to my high school, I talked to my biology teacher, and she had gotten a master's degree at St. Mary's during the summer programs there. And so that's how I got introduced to St. Mary's.
So what I want to know now, or what are some of your favorite campus memories from the time here from 1972 to 1976?
Yeah. Well,
at least the ones you can tell us about.
Right. Yeah. It's just, besides making these lifelong friends, that actually are my Twin Cities family right now, I think the biggest and most important memories that I have are some of the friendships I made with some of the brothers there. And one of the brothers, Brother Charles Severin, he was in his 80s when I met him, and he introduced me to the topic of botany. We took weekly hikes up in the bluffs, and he taught me botany that way. And that relationship with Brother Charles really impacted my current career in plant biology. So he really paved the way for me, or opened the door for me. And then, of course, Brother Finbar, Brother John Grover, and Brother Jerome. I have so many fond memories from the many canoe trips along the Mississippi River and the Boundary Waters. So we just went on numerous trips there, and of course, the many cross-country ski trips that we took. They would always take a group of students, and we would just go. And the neat thing, though, is that these guys treated us as equals and as adults. And that was a really cool thing at that age, because you never felt that. And so that was kind of the neat thing, and the very memorable part of it is that they were really good role models of how to be and how to treat people equally. And I thought that was really cool.
You know what strikes me, Donnie, in that response is how many things change over the years,
Yes.
but some things stay the same. And a
Absolutely.
lot of those same things are still happening
Yeah,
today here on campus.
Absolutely. And you're talking about brothers that are near and dear to a lot of our hearts. I know I graduated in '85, as I mentioned in our email, and the same thing, brother Jerome and brother Charles, and brother John is still here skiing, and yeah, it's what you said really touches a lot of people, and I guess my final question to you would be, March 11th is going to be here before you know it. Are you prepared for induction into the Hall of Fame?
I'm supposed to talk 5 minutes, so that's I'm getting there. But I just feel really honored that not necessarily that I'm being recognized, but the movement is being recognized and the importance of it. And I was watching a program on some of the women that tried to run the Boston Marathon back in the 60s, I believe. And the first woman, Roberta Gibb is her name, she tried to sign up for the marathon because she didn't realize women couldn't run it. And she was told that women could not run more than 1.5 miles. And she just went ahead and did it anyway. And she ended up in the top third of all of the competitors. She ran the marathon in around a 3.5 hour or 3 hour marathon. And that was the top 30% of all the runners. So, so it's just an honor that the women that came before us really paved the way for us. And it's I'm glad that this whole movement is being recognized, that women are equals. So.
Yeah. Bruna, one last question before we let you go. Kind of inform us what you've been doing since you've left St. Mary's and kind of what you're doing now.
Yeah, I'm at the University of Minnesota, and I'm in the Department of Agriculture here. And I ended up, thanks to Brother Charles, I ended up with a master's in botany, and then I went on to get my PhD in plant physiology. So I'm doing research here at the U on the St. Paul campus, and I'm part of a research group that's breeding soybean and alfalfa.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
So let me ask you this question. When was the last time you were back in Winona on campus?
Oh, I come back yearly. I come visit BJ.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I was at his a program they had for him.
Okay. So you've seen all the changes to the campus and all of that. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Because, in the last just few years, we've made a lot of changes. So a lot of times for our returning Hall of Famers, it can be a bit of a culture shock to see some of the changes. So,
yeah, but, I love Winona, so I get back there.
Yep. Good. All right, Bruna Bucciarelli, thank you so much for your time and for talking with us today. And again, congratulations on being one of the 5 inductees into this year's Hall of Fame on March 11th.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's good to meet both of you in kind of person.
Exactly. So, all right, that's going to do it for this Cardinals Nest. Thanks so much for watching.